Hi, I'm Denice Ross with the Greater New Orleans Community Data Center. We're a neutral, nonprofit data intermediary serving the New Orleans area for more than a dozen years now. Our mission is to democratize data, and we do that by taking a user-centered, evidence-based approach to application design. Now, before the storm, we had Census 2000 data organized into New Orleans' 73 official neighborhoods. Locals loved it, and they used it a lot, to the tune of 60,000 unique visits a year, which was a lot. Now, nearly 5 years ago, a large hurricane named Katrina headed our way. At the last minute, it wobbled to the right, leaving us on the good side of the storm. We thought we'd dodged the bullet. But then we learned that the federal levee system had failed, and 80% of our city was underwater. All that census data we used to publish by neighborhood, it was rendered instantly historical as our New Orleans residents spread to all 50 states. Meanwhile, neighborhood associations, nonprofits, foundations, researchers, media, policymakers, and elected officials from City Hall to the White House turned to us to help them understand the dynamics of repopulation at the neighborhood level. Have a well-defined question based on the real needs of your audience. The question everyone had for us was how many people are back and where are they living? With census data obsolete, we needed to find another indicator of population. We did an exhaustive review of the disaster literature, and postal data emerged as the best viable option. Make sure the data set you choose can actually answer your question. Postal data makes sense. Mailman McCann walks his route in the lower Ninth Ward. He talks to folks and knows right away if someone has moved back. He records the addresses that are picking up mail and those that are vacant. Then he puts these changes into the official edit book, and they go into a central database. The Postal Service shares its address data with qualified direct mail marketing companies. One such company, Velasas, donated their database to us. We made a web app to display the data, and of course the metadata to go along with it. Which brings me to lesson number 3. Put metadata in plain sight and in plain English. This seems obvious, but most apps bury this basic information. For example, there should always be a title that describes the dataset, the geography, and the time frame. And the legend should stick around so users can quickly reference it, but keep their focus on the data itself. And rather than banishing the data description to the technical docs, put that up front in simple language so your users can learn what they're looking at. Make it easy for lay people to learn more, and provide technical documentation for more expert users. Fix or explain errors that matter to locals. As we kicked the tires on this data set, we noticed more than 700 addresses were geocoding to blocks in the neutral ground. We know the problem stems from inaccuracies in the geocoding database, but our audience doesn't care about geocoding databases, and seeing houses on the streetcar tracks makes the whole data set lose credibility, and it distracts our users from the tasks they're trying to accomplish with the app. In field usability testing, we go out to people's homes and offices and see how our app performs on their computers as they try out real tasks under real-world conditions, like this. One surprising finding was that although less than 5% of all visitors to our website had low-res displays, 60% of the neighborhood leaders we tested the app with had their settings at 800 by 600, rendering our map like this big. A credible app equals happy users and a smoother recovery for New Orleans. I'll close with 5 quick case studies showing how people use the app and a little bit about the BP oil rupture underway. The Holy Cross Neighborhood Association knew they'd be getting up-to-date repopulation data from our web app, so they deployed their spring break volunteers gutting houses rather than time-consuming surveying door-to-door. And Friends of Palmer Park uses the data in grant proposals for a new playground to demonstrate critical mass of people living around the park that would use the new playground. In a contentious land use issue, both sides use this app to understand how many people are living in the proposed footprint of a new hospital. And this map makes it really easy for national media to report on the New Orleans recovery, which keeps us in the national consciousness, and we also use this as a policy tool. In closing, I hope you never need to build an app to track repopulation of your devastated city, but anytime you do make data available to a wide audience, one that doesn't understand that even a really good data set has its limitations, we've found that credibility is key. This is especially important if you're an outsider bringing apps to a locality you don't know very well, or if you're a technophile and you want to serve those on the other side of the digital divide. Now, the flooding after Katrina impacted population and housing, hence the app I showed you today. The BP oil rupture, well, that's walloping the environment and is likely to impact our local economy, too. And the harsh reality is that oil damage to the coastal marshes could increase our vulnerability to catastrophic flooding in future hurricanes. But when you take a user-centered approach, no matter what challenges come your way, you always know where to start. Who's the audience, what decisions do they need to make, and what data is available to support those decisions? Thank you.